Princess Bubblegum stood, balanced, though just barely. By force of will, the naked princess tried to remain absolutely motionless, but to do that was almost impossible. It was the point of her tight bondage, of course. She stood erect, her legs spread wide by a metal bar strapped between her ankles, forcing them apart. Her perky breasts were tied tight with clothesline rope, loop after loop around the circumference of her tits, forcing them to become swollen and full, like overripe melons, ready to explode. Her arms were pulled behind her back, strapped together at the elbows and wrists, forcing her tormented breasts up and forward. Her long, bubblegum hair cascaded down her bound arms, halfway to her slim waist. She was firmly gagged, her mouth stuffed with a dildo gag and securely covered by a thick leather strap. Otherwise, she was completely nude. Princess Bubblegum had never felt so exposed in her life. Who had done this to her? Who? Thousands of questions were racing past Princess Bubblegum's mind as she thought to figure out her captor. Her mind was balanced at the very point of a needle as waves of pleasure and pain washed over her. Princess Bubblegum remembered going to Finn's treehouse. Yes, that was it. She remembered knocking on the door, but no one answered. There was a rustling behind the bushes. Yeah, there was definitely rustling. Princess Bubblegum knew, but that was the end, the dead point. She couldn't remember anything after that, much less how she got here. Sighing through her gag, Princess Bubblegum accessed her situation. She was in a large, spacious room, barely lit by a spotlight that shined only over her. It enveloped her in a circle of light, but outside of the sphere, there was only darkness. On each of her large nipples was an alligator tooth spring clamp, biting deeply into each erect nipple. These connected to thin leather straps, which were connected together to a heavier strap. This went up to the ceiling rafter and over a pulley there. At the other end of this strap from her nipples, dangling just a few feet in front of the princess, was a metal weight. It rested no more than an inch above a box with a metal plate on its top. In fact, if Princess Bubblegum weren't leaning back and away, her taut breasts pulling at the strap, her stretched nipples pierced by the sharp metal teeth, the weight would rest on the plate itself. Perspiration dripped from her. She arched herself backward, trembling, struggling to keep her breasts from hurting. The princess's smooth, pink thighs were stretched to an almost split position, and she could feel her juices drizzling down. Princess Bubblegum moaned, a long moan that was muffled by the gag. More of her juices flowed out as the large 11-inch dildo started vibrating in her young pussy again, making the princess shiver in pleasure. The vibration happened every 3 minutes. Princess Bubblegum had counted. The dildo was mauve, large and thick, her beautiful pussy barely coping with it. It had knobs and indented surfaces that stimulated her G-spot, while a small bead-like vibrator was taped to her clit. And Princess Bubblegum could feel all the vibrations, the stimulation, could feel the pleasure building up, and it was at the tipping point. Yes, it was, and her mind was only filled with one thought, pleasure. Then she cummed. Pale liquid fell from her dildo. Princess Bubblegum moaned again, louder this time, a sound that made her feel even more sexy. Wait, did she actually like this? She found herself moving her thighs up and down to create friction for the dildo, moaning steadily louder. Her holes begged for entrance and orgasm, because she was nothing but a dirty slut, a cunt slave. Princess Bubblegum stopped. She could hear a strange tapping noise, could feel an omniscient presence. The tapping noise, she realized, was feet. Was this her captor? A chill ran down her spine as a dark figure approached, but it was approaching from the back. Princess Bubblegum struggled against her bonds, but they were made out of metal. It was no use. She could not see her captor. A dark figure stepped into the light, rough hands going down her slim waist, her smooth arms, her wonderfully pink skin. She heard a small squirt, like when one sprays a bottle. Suddenly, anal beads, each one the size of a bouncy ball, were stuffed in her tight anus. Princess Bubblegum had never used a butt plug before, making the entrance all the more foreign. Each ball opened her anus in and out as more and more spheres were stuffed in. Princess Bubblegum made a small, cute noise. She couldn't help it. The anal beads magnified the pleasure of the dildo and made her feel stuffed. In and out. In and out. That was the rhyme, and her ass was enjoying it. The anal beads felt really good, and before she knew it, she was moaning and thinking dirty thoughts, and she actually loved it. The dildo started vibrating again. Not now, she thought. Her captor chuckled, a deep, grunting noise that resembled a crow. She could feel a climax building up. Yes, she could, and the pleasure from the dildo, large and stimulating, combined with the clit vibrations and the anal beads, made her build up and up and up until her thoughts drifted to her tight, forced bondage. The pain she felt from her clamped tits, the immeasurable pleasure, all came forcing down on her, splashing her mind. She was right at the point of climax, at the edge of the tidal wave, when her captor pulled them out all at once, all 7 of them, yanking them out. For a second, she was in bliss, ass aching, tightening, loving every second of it. Princess Bubblegum orgasmed so hard that her juices squirted out of both holes, leaving Princess Bubblegum breathless. She panted through her gag, drooling a little. The captor admired her cute pink face. Sweet like bubblegum, he thought.